Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to compress electric guitar step by step. We're going to be exploring electric guitar compression today, but before we dive in, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at these guitars. Let me first play you the instrumental mix for this track here. I'm going to leave the vocal out in the background vocals. This track hasn't quite been released yet, so we're going to keep those under wraps, and hopefully it doesn't get the video copyrighted and taken down as well here, because this is a cover song for an artist here. So I'm going to hit play. You can hear our instrumental mix here, and then I'll solo up our pair of electric guitars, and you can kind of hear where they're sitting. So you can hear they're big, powerful rhythm electric guitars here. They're the only instruments driving here in the melodic section of the track, besides our lead vocal here. Let me kind of walk you through the processing, and then we're going to jump into the compressor I have on it. And then, of course, we're going to walk through using the stock compressor inside of the DAW here. So a little bit of EQ to start off with here, rolling off some of the bottom end, some of the top end, so they're not too harsh or noisy up on the top end. Adding some bottom end or some low mids here just to beef them up a little bit, since they're the only kind of rhythm instruments going in the track here. And then we've got a little bit of 4K here just to give them some brightness, to give them that edge up on the top end. Then we're going into our compressor. We'll come back to that in a second. And then on the back end here, all I'm doing is adding a touch of heat in the bottom end, about 160 here, 159 hertz, adding about 2.5 dB just to give them some weight in the bottom end here. So let's jump into the compressor I'm using here. Now, I would reach for a couple different compressors for bigger electric guitars like this. Now, if you don't want to compress your electric guitars like this, you don't have to. Bigger rhythm electric guitars like this with distortion on them don't need compression to keep them steady volume-wise. You can see these are pretty pinned all the way through because of the distortion on them. They stay really even, but compression is going to add a different flavor and a different tone change to our guitars. It's not just going to hold them in place volume-wise here. So I would usually reach for a couple different compressors to start with. I love this Everest C100A compressor, and the PreSonus model here is wonderful. I love it on electric guitars like this, especially big distorted electric guitars like this. You could also reach for an LA3A. Something like that that's not too aggressive is going to really pack in your guitars in a nice way inside the track. So I've got the attack at a medium setting here. So again, not going too aggressive with it, but we're not laying back with the compressor because we don't want to exaggerate any transients or anything like that. And then the release I've got all the way fast. That way it's not kind of holding everything down and we're never letting go here. So I'm going to hit play. We're going to be doing about 3 dB reduction here with the compressor. And I want you to listen as I take it off. Listen to how our guitars change here. So I like to visualize this compressor as being like a level of concrete. It's like insurance, right? We do our prep work, we build our foundation with our EQ and kind of sculpt the guitars the way we need them. When I throw this compressor in on electric guitars, it levels in everything that I've did before. So it confirms all my EQ moves and really sets the guitars exactly where I want them. It holds all of my moves in place. So the high end doesn't jump out too much. The low end doesn't jump out too much. It balances everything together in a really nice way. And we get some analog depth from this Everest compressor as well. So listen one more time. You can hear our little bit of volume change from our gain reduction here and our output gain as well. But listen to the tone change on the electric guitars. Just that 3 dB reduction here, medium attack, fast release, holds those top end boosts in place so the guitars don't get too bright or too harsh sounding, and it emphasizes the low end boost we're doing after to give them that weight and then give them that low end heat. So this is why I love reaching for this compressor here on electric guitars. The Everest C100A, phenomenal compressor for electric guitars. Same thing with the LA3A, great choice, and they're going to give you some of that analog depth. Now, if you're not ready for something like that yet, or you just want to use the stock tools that you have, let's jump into that. So I'm going to pull in the stock compressor here inside of Studio One, and let's see what we can do here. We're going to set these the same way we've been working in these compression videos. So I'm going to set our ratio first. I'm going to go 3-to-1, so middle of the road here, not too aggressive, but again, we're not being too gentle with these guitars here. And I'm going to pull the threshold down quite a bit so we can see the gain reduction we're getting here, and then we'll set our attack and release. So we're going to shoot for the same kind of thing. So medium style attack and then a faster style release here. And we're going to talk about one more thing as well here that we have on the back end here. So let me hit play. I've got our threshold pulled down, 3-to-1 ratio. Let's set our attack and release. So I've got the attack and release kind of dialed where I want them. We might tweak them a little bit more as I pull the threshold back, but I've got the attack sitting at about 20 milliseconds here, 21.9 milliseconds, almost 22 milliseconds. And it's at a place that it's starting to move in time with our pair of electric guitars here. And I dialed the release up so it's also moving in time with our pair of guitars. It's not staying put because it's not too slow, but it's not fluttering back and forth because it's too fast. We've got it at a point where it's kind of starting to breathe with our electric guitar. So let's pull our threshold back and get this set where we need it, about 3 dB reduction. That's sounding good. We're getting that volume balance that we need on our electric guitars. It's not quite doing the tone shaping that we would get from an analog style compressor, but we're getting that volume balance and we're getting that subtle balancing of the frequencies. It's not as drastic as with the analog style compressor, but we still get some of that heat in there. So let's try this in the track and we're going to talk about one more thing. gives us that extra level of balance. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about here, something cool you can try even with your stock compressor is what we call butter compression. This is something I stole from one of Joe Gilder's videos, excuse me, way back in the day. And what it is we pull our threshold all the way down, and we get compression by raising the ratio a little bit at a time. And it's going to give us this very consistent level of compression. Now, for these settings, I like to go faster attack and faster release here. So we've got a 5 millisecond attack and 20 millisecond release here. So I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to slowly raise the ratio till we're getting about 3 dB reduction on these electric guitars. To me, this always gave me something closer to a more analog style compressor for electric guitars, like the Everest, like the LA3A. It gives me that consistent level of compression. It's not fluttering, even though our attack and release are really, really fast here, 5 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds. But it stays really consistent, and it rounds out the electric guitars in a really nice way. So listen one more time here. We'll throw it back in the track, and I'll A-B it for you. It's a very smooth style of compression, so if you're just working with your stock compressor on a big pair of electric guitars like this, try some butter compression. So threshold all the way down, fast attack and fast release, and you get that consistent compression by raising your ratio to get smoothness and to get some tone shift on your electric guitars as well. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.